All right, we're live. I was supposed to do the countdown, but StreamYard wouldn't let me, so we're just going to banter for 30 seconds while people while people hang in. So I'm going to ask you some questions. I've been doing this on my YouTube channel where like I have like a question that I want people to answer in the comments, not related to betting, just random. So impromptu, without any time to think, I'm just going to ask you some of the questions that I've been asking. Favorite movie?
Wow, damn it. I usually have that one on deck. At this point, man, if you would have asked me that like 15 years ago, I'd have been like Gladiator is the greatest movie ever made. When
Gladiator's
I saw
awesome.
it very young. Yeah. Man, just let me. Oh, City of God. There we go. City of God. If you haven't seen it, it's about the favelas in Brazil. Fire. Absolutely fire movie. And the Notebook.
Yeah, I mean that's aside from The Notebook, what's your favorite movie?
Right. That's how you should ask the question.
I'm adding that to my list. I've actually never seen that.
Oh, it's so good, man. Don't watch the second one that came out years later, but it's about the favelas in Brazil in like the 90s or it's 80s. It's amazing. Yeah.
Okay. Mine is chalk. It's Dark Knight with the Joker.
Nice. Cool.
I mean, that movie's just so good. It's the best. It's the best movie ever. I love that movie.
It's incredible. No shade.
Yeah. Saving Ryan.
I don't admit that to people, but
while we're BSing, I have a fun fact. So the movie Saving Private Ryan, the real life character that's based on, like the real life Private Ryan, is in my family tree, not by blood, but my grandfather, his sister married Private Ryan.
Wow.
Isn't that cool? Yeah. So
she really was saving Ryan's privates.
She was. Yeah, she was.
Sorry, I had to.
Because my dad's cousin, they live up in Buffalo. We went to go visit them when we went to Niagara Falls, and they have like a whole room dedicated to Saving Private Ryan because obviously it's about his dad. And like because Spielberg had to ask them to give them like permission technically. So they have like a bunch of signed stuff from the movie, like signed poster from Spielberg. It's pretty cool, and it's an awesome movie.
It's so good. Yeah, it's one of the best war movies. Black Hawk Down, another great war movie.
Black Hawk Down's awesome.
Yeah, and True Romance with Christian Slater. If you haven't seen it, another solid choice here as well. A little bit on the older side, but really quality underrated Tarantino.
But where's that comment? The one that you just put up? I don't see.
Oh, David's the last one.
What? It's not. Maybe my thing's just slow to upload. I don't see that
weird.
comment.
Yeah.
Anyways, I've actually never seen it yet.
Yeah, maybe it's only on my YouTube channel or something like that. Is why.
Maybe. Sure. Yeah, I don't see it. That's weird. Can't post comments. I mean, whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyways. Yeah. So I've never seen True Romance. I'll have to. Another good. This is a recent war movie. Midway. Have you seen that?
No.
Came out like maybe 5-6 years ago. Like
no,
it's a World War II, like the Battle of Midway, the biggest sea battle.
I'll check that one out. And while you're doing war movies, All Along the Western Front was awesome as well. A Netflix movie came out like last year. Insane good about World War One. Dude, this movie I watched 2 nights ago, unassuming as hell, came out of nowhere. I highly recommend. It's called Number 24, about a Norwegian freedom fighter in the Holocaust era. Like unbelievably good. So would also recommend that one. It came out like last year. So check it out.
Called Number 24?
Number 24.
It's about Kobe?
It is not about Kobe. Really didn't even think about that.
All right. Hopefully that's enough time of us bantering to get people in here. Cool. All right. Well, we're just going to go both NFL games. If you want to talk NBA, we can. I have some looks out for the NBA. I know you're kind of in a rut, so if you'd rather not.
I'm taking a break today. There's like games being canceled because of weather and obviously fires.
It's a weird slate.
Today I've had like a nasty streak for 7 days, one winning day in there. Today is the day off because it's already a nasty boy slate, so I don't really need to get into it. But yeah, I'm all football today for sure.
Sure. Yeah. No problem. All right. Chargers-Texans. Do you have anything on the spread, money line, total on this one?
I didn't. I didn't take any sides or totals in this in either game. I do like the Chargers and Ravens, Chalky McChalk.
Same.
But like I don't know how you get around it. So
yeah, I'm the same way. I'm honestly parlay both money lines. Try to get as close to plus money as you can is how I would play it. I don't want to mess around with spread, especially in the Ravens one.
Yeah,
that's like that game just screams like rock fight. Like the Steelers just pull some crap out of it. Anyway, we'll talk about that game.
No, you're right. And I would just say, just to end the point too, like Ravens, Chargers, Texans rather is in a similar place. But yeah, Ravens, Steelers is like, if you're in the 8.5, 9.5 no man's land, or like 8.5, 9 no man, it's just, I hate it. So
could be a teaser, which I know you love your teasers. So you get this above 3.5. But anyways, Player props. I only have one official bet in this one. There's a couple leans that I liked, but I just couldn't quite get there. No, not most passing yards. It was I took, where's my guy Ladidi? Lad McConkey. I took him 80 plus. Right now, the best offered price plus 112. I don't think is right. Let me check another source because sometimes I love outliers. Yeah. Sometimes they don't always pull.
It pulls through slowly sometimes,
and sometimes they don't always pull the alt lines. Like they never have Bet 365 with the alt lines. It's only
on the alt lines. Gotcha.
Yeah. They have it on their main lines, but let me see if there's a better price. If you just give me 2 seconds, I should have done this before. No, all right. The plus 112 is the best price.
Yeah.
He's hit it seven of his last 10 games, averaging 88 in that span. I love situations like this where it's like a rookie receiver getting better and better as the season has gone on. Totally. Now he's been pretty good all year. But I mean, we see missed it in the first 6, cashed in 7 of the last 10. Like that's a clear line of a rookie receiver in the NFL. Like they're not all going to be Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. We're from the bat. They're just a game changer. A lot of them are like, we saw this with Rashee Rice last year. We saw this with BTJ, Brian Thomas Jr. this year. We saw it with the other guy this year.
Palmer?
No, Xavier Worthy.
Brooks. Gotcha.
Has been a lot better recently. And like the target share is consistent, which I love. He catches a high percentage of his targets, which I love. Like 73% catch rate's pretty good. And the matchup against the Texans doesn't look amazing on paper. Am I too zoomed in? Is that why we can't see that?
Good.
Yeah, I was a little too zoomed in.
Yeah.
This is what I was looking for. Because they only give up the 7th fewest receiving yards per game, but 21st to wide receivers. So like that just basically means they don't give up anything to the tight end and running back. That's what this stat is telling you. And then the last point I'll make before I hand it over to you is he lines up in the slot 70% of the time, and the Texans allow a top 10 target rate to the slot position. They're like 10th on the year, and I think 9th or 8th since like week 11. So they're hovering around the 10th number, but they will give it up to the slot receiver. That's where Lad, again, 70% of the time, he's a consistent target. Like he doesn't, I know that like he has a couple games over 100. I don't normally love doing the ladder plays on him because he likes like he's not a Jamar Chase or even like a George Pickens who's going to have 0 yards or 150. He's like, he's very consistent. So that's why I went with the 80 plus. I got it for a little bit better, but I would still take it at plus 112. So that was my first play. A, any thoughts on this? B, what do you like?
A, yeah, totally. I mean, this is, I think the big thing here to add to it is just that, like, I think Herbert's got to throw. I think they're going to have to throw. I prefer a fade of a J.K. Dobbins or anyone who's going to be rushing for the Chargers, to be honest. Where's he at now?
57.5. And just to your point,
what's that?
11th, 12th fewest rushing yards allowed to running backs.
Yeah. They're filthy nasty. If you look at fantasy points, which we both use, I'm pretty sure, right, for the NFL as well, you can look at adjusted yards before contact, right, to see how the offensive and defensive lines are doing. This defensive line for the Texans is no joke. I will just tell you my first play too while I'm saying that, because I love Will Anderson so goddamn much as a person and as a football player. So yeah, I'm taking Will Anderson. I got him over 0.25 sacks to get a half a sack. That's juiced all the way down now. So I still think one sack at like minus 105, if you can still get that, is still a good look. But this got juiced hella over.
So you took over 0.5.
Oh, nice.
Or sorry, you put over 0.25.
25, yeah.
Looks like that's
now pretty much gone except for
minus 120 on DraftKings isn't terrible.
Not bad. Yeah, I got over 0.25 at like plus 110. So yeah, this opened up really poorly. I don't know why. Either way, like I still when I took it, I still said this is good. Up to like minus 120 for the 0.25. I mean, the half a sack for what was that, minus 102 or whatever, like same kind of
at that point, I'd rather take the minus. I'd rather it stuck the juice up on that one.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah, it's not that bad, right? It's like if Modi is telling you don't need to go up to a plus money banger.
That's That's right? That's a great point.
Right.
Yeah.
We know where the value is. So yeah, the Michael Jordan of the plus money bangers is telling us it's okay to take the minus 102. So we're minus 120. So let's grab it. But it's the same concept here. Now I know I'm talking about the rush being bad for LA, which is why I do think they will have to throw, which is why Ladd is going to be so involved. Palmer's also still pretty banged up, I'm pretty sure. So you're talking about like Disley, Huge, and Ladd, right? And I think Ladd is obviously, Ladd and Disley are probably the best options there, despite Huge's performance last week against, with nobody playing. So yeah, I'm with you on that. To add to the Will Anderson bet, he's had 4.25 sacks now in the last 4 home games. So he's been really, really good at home, especially, and they have been sacking a lot. It was not that long ago. When I say they're sacking a lot, they're like third in sack rate on the season at this point. So yeah, it's about a 9.7% sack rate for them, which is very high for the amount of dropbacks. And then for the Chargers, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that Herbert was getting sacked an insane amount, right? And if you look at him on the road, especially, like there was 20 sacks in his last 5 road games. There was a span of 3 road games where he got sacked 14 times over the 3 games before the last 2. So they're available, right? It's very bad pass blocking offensive line that has been exposed this season against a very, very good pressure defense in the Chargers. So I think Herbert is going to have to get the ball out quick, but I do think that Anderson's going to touch him up as well.
Cool. And I guess there's an issue with the tackles with the Chargers. I actually didn't know this part. I know Pipkins, I saw that he was questionable. Trey Pipkins, maybe that has something to do with it. I didn't know this part, to be honest.
God, I didn't see them lose their health as well. Oh, and Palmer's fully out. Okay, cool.
Josh Palmer, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Palmer's out, which is also, that helps me with Ladidi. Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. Yeah, I didn't have anything else in this game. I do kind of like Ladd touchdown as well. Like if I'm on his yards, like his touchdowns have been really good too. If I could just find it. Yeah, there we go. Like plus 150 is not bad. It's according to that's the best price because that includes Bet365. According to Outlier, it's also plus EV. So like the DVIG price is plus 125. It's like depending on how you calculate your true odds. It ranges from over 3% to about 1%.
Right.
EV, regardless. Plus EV and like Ladd, his touchdowns are a little hit or miss, like two. So like if he's going to get 1, he's probably going to get 2. So maybe you just go psycho and take 2. It's not amazing in 5 of 16 games, not incredible. His red zone targets isn't incredible. Like he gets 20% of the red zone target share. Like that's fine. But yeah, that would be my only really touchdown score play in this one. I don't honestly love a lot of them.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on touchdowns in general?
Yeah, I do. I don't. I didn't look at Ladd specifically. Once his stuff started skyrocketing too away from me, I just kind of like was off of the Ladd bets. But
sure,
as far as touchdowns go, I did like. See if it's still 10-1 for Deontay Johnson to get a touchdown, please.
Deontay Johnson, no, 11-1 now.
Wonderful. Everybody in the stream, raise your hand right now. I know I'm not going to see it. If you thought Deontay Johnson was on the Texans before last week, you didn't know. Nobody knew. He just kind of gradually faded from the public eye in Baltimore, where he was unhappy on his new team. It was just like, what? Where did you get off? Man? You're new here. Take a back seat. But no, he's got that dog mentality, that number 1 wide receiver. Just a big dude in the red zone, man. He got a red zone target last week from Davis Mills. Granted, Nico was out, and then John Mechie ended up being out, and Mechie still has the concussion that he is coming off of, and not a lot of practice this week, short week for him. So I just think Deontay is the second best wide receiver. If you look at the Chargers defense, number 1 limiting touchdowns overall versus wide receivers, 18th. So that's where they're the most vulnerable, is going to be through the air on the outside, much more so than the middle as well. So I do think that if Deontay Johnson does get any kind of single coverage inside the 20, that 11-1 for him to catch a ball in there is just too high. It's just a nice price. So
I mean, that's fair. I mean, like the scary part, or like 1 target basically since he's been that, and that was last week. But yeah, I mean, if it's not going to be Nico, it's like, is it going to be Dalton Schultz? Like, no, the Chargers won't give up anything to the tight end. Is it going to be Mixon? Yeah, so I get it.
Could be.
But yeah, a lot of people asking questions. So we're going to get to the next game.
Yeah, let me get 2 in here and see what you think too.
I'm just letting people know in the comments that we will get to the Ravens-Steelers game after this. And then one guy came late, just real quick. The only official bets that we talked about, Ladd 80+ and Will Anderson over 0.25 sacks.
We're also forgetting you need to watch number 24. We also had a bunch of
Netflix we did talk about movies.
Make sure you watch the movie stuff. All right, so then Nico is my other bet. I took him on the 7 receptions. I got that at plus money. Free Sauce is in here asking about the long reception. I actually don't like the yards as much as the receptions, meaning I don't necessarily love a long for him either because of the way that things have changed for him. So on the season before he got hurt, Nico Collins' ADOT was like 18.5 yards. And his yards per reception was about that as well. It was like 17 or whatever, right, for his average yards per catch. it's been not even close to that in the last like 5 weeks or so. His ADOT is down to sub 10 yards. He's become limited because there's nobody else to throw to. It's really that simple. If you look at it, the safeties are coming up. Nico has 2 guys on him at all times. If he's past 10, 15 yards, he's going to have 2 guys on him. So if you want to get him the ball in one-on-one coverage before there's somebody, because the safety is 5 yards behind the cornerback. So they're just doubling him before he can even get 5 yards down the field. Then it needs to be short routes. It needs to be design plays to get him the ball. Last week, we kind of saw that even in a nothing game against the Titans. 1 drive, 5 targets, 5 receptions with Davis Mills against not as good of a pass defense. Actually, I actually respect the Chargers a little bit more at this point than the Titans, even in the pass game, but without Snead, I should say. But yeah, point being, like, that's Nico's sort of forte at this point in time of the season without other weapons around him. Is if I want the ball in my hands, I can't be going 20, 30, 40 yards down the field to catch bombs from CJ Stroud. At the same time, I know that Stroud will have time to throw because the Chargers do not blitz. They do not pressure the quarterback. They really contain and just hold everything in front of them. But that's another reason why I like Nico to be in front of the safeties, not able to go past them. So I do like shorter passing for him and him over Dalton Schultz, right? To catch like an 8-yard pass. I'd rather have it in Nico's hands, obviously. So as long as he can get free within 10 yards, I think he's good for 7+ receptions because I think he's at like 11 to 14 targets tonight. Who else do you throw to? And I think they're going to have to throw. So, I mean, the last thing I'll say there is I do think Mixon will have I think Mixon will get some yards. I think it'll be on a very low yards per carry. And I think they'll just be forcing the ball into his hands, but it's not going to succeed enough for them to keep a drive going off of the rush, essentially.
Yeah. I would take an under on Mixon. I didn't do it. But if I had to bet it, like his numbers are still being priced like he's this guy. You know what I mean? Like when he's getting 100+ in 7 of the first 10 games, he's just like, I mean, look at this. I mean, you can take out this last game because they rested, but still 23, 57, 26, 22, a couple weeks ago prior to that, 46 against the Lions. So again, you can't run on the Lions, but still. Nico actually kind of, I mean, I didn't take anything on the Texans side. I kind of like his longest reception. I didn't bet it. But I mean, like, yes. And also like, I didn't look into it, so I can't pretend to have the same level of knowledge about it than you do. I just know that like, even in games where Tank Dell was out and even in games that he didn't hit his receiving prop, he still hit his longest reception. Like he had 30. I mean, this game was disgusting. Like he didn't do anything. He caught 3 balls. They scored 0 offensive points and he still had a 30-yard reception. And that was, I mean, the Ravens team that does give up a lot of long passes. So the matchup's a little bit different. But
guess what? In the last 6 weeks, the Ravens have the #1 pass EPA defense. So they're not giving up explosive plays in the last 6 weeks. You're totally right before this week.
On the entire season, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, on the entire season, rather. But the last 6 weeks, they actually have tightened up a ton. So the fact that he got that 30 still kind of shows that they're still able to get some stuff against good pass defenses, to your point.
Okay, yeah. Another part of context I didn't have. So even games like, I mean, he had 59 yards in that game. Half of it came on 1 catch. He had 60 yards against the Chiefs. Half of it came on 1 catch. So I didn't bet it. I still kind of do like his longest reception. He's hit it in 7 of 10 games this year, 9 of 12. And even if you take out like, the beginning of the year where he was just annihilating everybody, he even still hit it in 2 of the 3 games. Granted, Tank Dell got hurt like in the middle of this games, but it still hit it against the Ravens defense. So I did want to shout that out.
2 quick things while we're on that point too, though.
Go for it.
David is the one who live show producer David in the chat these right now as well is the one that showed me the Ravens pass defense stuff. So I got to give him that shout out. And it just made me feel even more grateful for him that like I didn't have the time to even get that deep into something like that. And David was able to find that, send it my way. So super grateful. And the only other thing I wanted to bring up is, do you have a response to the initial the accusations here from Mr. Kerms? We were looking for a public statement.
Yeah, couple comments here. Number one, Josh and I have gone live on Sunday basically every week. We've missed maybe 4 weeks of an 18-week season, 19 including this one. It's also the playoffs. I don't go live after football season on the weekends, and I don't do during the regular season. This is it's the playoffs, man. You got to lock in on the playoffs. So
don't come in here with that gotcha journalism, Kyle. We're ready for you, man.
He tried. He did try. And also, it's on my channel, too. It's not even on someone else's channel. It's on both of our channels. So he probably saw it from you know what? Kyle probably just doxed himself for not subscribing to my channel because he only saw it on yours.
Outing yourself, Kyle.
Yeah, you really are. Anyways, the one comment that I wanted to get your thoughts on, because you seem like it's maybe too far up. Because you seem like here we go. You seem like a kicker guy. Am I wrong? Are you a kicker guy? You have that vibe about you.
Is it because I'm an average looking white guy? Because I could say the same about you, but I'm just saying.
Well, no, not that you are a kicker yourself. You're a kicker prop guy. Because there's some kicker, because I'm not a kicker prop guy.
Gotcha.
Not commenting.
Yeah, I'm gonna move past that one myself. Oh man, kickers. Yeah, no. Kickers are actually another producer, David Forte. What do we have here? We got Fairbairn. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Fairbairn 1.5 field goals.
Yeah, correct. 1.5.
So for field goals, I mean, it's really simple. The only thing I ever look at with field goals, if I actually want to, which I don't go there very often. One thing is Fairbairn 1.5 field goals. What I'm looking at is how much does the defense lock up in the red zone or on their side of the field, and how much does this team have success on like third downs or red zone third downs or what have you. Right. That's kind of what I'm looking at. Not the end all be all, but it's helpful. And then you get the other thing here actually that I would talk about with what's his kicking points at? Yeah, sometimes they give you a good price on the kicking points.
These odds are terrible. I'm not touching minus 155 or minus 190.
No, maybe not for two.
Maybe it's better somewhere else. They're only giving us MGM and Caesars. So I would line shop that. Maybe it's better somewhere else, but
no, yeah.
Kicking
I'm good
points,
on that. If the kicking points are 7.5. So you're saying 2 field goals and 2 tutties.
And 2 extra. See, that's a little too rich for my blood.
It is for me too, but sometimes you'll get this where like the odds for the total team touchdowns is at like 2.5. And you'll get like kicking points from a guy that are really low and don't really match that. So that's one way to kind of like find the books sleeping is like it's basically the same thing. And this is another live show producer David's things, which is like basic. Yeah. So this is what I'm trying to say. And David says it better because this is his thing. The odds are shit right now, Fairbairn, but there is a market opportunity because the team TDs is at 3. So if the team's TDs is at 3 and they're basically saying he's going to get a guarantee, like if they're really low odds, right? And they're saying there's like a 60% chance that they get 3 touchdowns, for instance, for the Texans. Then if they're saying like either kicking points or kicking extra points, for instance, or whatever, extra points made, that would be where you can find some discrepancy because the extra points made might be like over 2.5 is like plus 120. So it's like you're saying that they're going to get 3 touchdowns, but you're saying he's not going to get 3 extra points. You've mispriced this. I can take the extra points for better odds, right? It's the extra points made market that you can find these discrepancies to get there. So I like that thought anyway when you're looking at kickers. But other than that, I don't really play field goals very often at all.
Okay, yeah, okay. And I just got reminded you can actually find a better price on team field goals. The books just have it priced incorrectly. Because right now you can get Houston Texans team field goals over 1.5 for minus 115, which is literally the same exact thing as Fairbairn. Honestly, better if Fairbairn gets hurt and then someone else happens to come in and kick a field goal. So that I think I would honestly take. I would take Texans team field goal over 1.5 at minus 115. That's an insane price. The Texans, he's done in 13 of 17 games. That's honestly enough for me at a minus 115 price.
Yep.
So
cool.
Texans team field goals over 1.5 minus 115. Kyle seems to like Quentin Johnston on the overs. I get that great numbers against zone coverage, dramatic increase in his volume. Herbert believes in him. Yeah, I get it. He was awesome last week. He had 150 yards, like 13 targets. He caught all 13 of them, if I remember correctly, which is crazy. Let me see. Receptions. I think he caught he caught 13 of 14. Excuse me. So if you like that, I'll add the Modi note, which is if you're going to take his receiving yards over under 46.5, and you think granted, he's only had 100 yards twice this year. I was going to say ladder. I was going to say do like a pumped up ladder play on it.
For huge, yeah.
Yeah, for huge. Because unless you just want to go 50 plus, which is probably close to even money. Actually, plus 114 is not bad.
You know that when we start betting on him, he's going to drop every ball, right?
Yeah, I do. I am aware of that. But honestly, plus 114 on that's pretty good. And if Kyle believes in him, I'm not going to doubt Kyle any stretch of the matter. Let me just
Kyle
see.
Dipping into the prop game, huh?
He started doing that on his NBA channel as well, and people got mad at him. Like, there's too many props out of Kyle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stupid. The best way to do props at times is to break down a game, get your game theory down, and then make bets off of that. And if Kyle's got game theory down in the NBA, like what we talking about here? So
yeah, people just like to be mad. Anyways, all right, we can wrap a bow on this game unless you have anything.
Yeah, I actually also just took Herbert over to 1.5 pass TDs as well. Just simple like hit rate. If they're gonna score against the Chargers, then the Texans, and I think Herbert's going to have to throw those in the end zone, which is interesting because the Texans, very, very good defense. Look at how many passing TDs they give up. I believe they're fourth worst passing TDs against them. This is a very good defense with a very good pass defense. Yet if you want to score touchdowns through the air, that's the best way to do it, which is wild. So that's where I'm at with that game. So just a quick recap, because I feel like people are confused about what the plays are. If I could just give mine real quick. Will Anderson, I would take him over half a sack at this point. Nico Collins, I took 7+ receptions. Herbert, I took 1.5 pass TDs. And Deontay Johnson, long shot, 11-1 touchdown for the new Texan there. Newer Texan.
And the only official that I had was Lad McConkey, 80+ receiving yards. That's best offer now, +112. And I'll go ahead and add that field goal one. Honestly, just strictly EV play. -115 for that's crazy. And every other book has that at -160 as the best price.
Yep.
And yeah, he likes Will Anderson. Probably doesn't like the lab play because if he's on QJ. But Kyle, if you're free, I can send you the link and you can hop in here if you want. Just let me know. We can get you in here to roast us a little bit more.
No, he's agreeing with me. He's just roasting you. I'm just fucking.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's true. Kyle loves to make fun of me. And it's cool.
Well, when you're not around, I promise I get the bulk of it. Don't worry.
That's how Kyle shows his love. I actually take it as a badge of honor. And Kyle,
right. I mean, we're the Northeast boys, man. That's how we show love to each other.
That's true. Yeah, we're not nice to people. Like if you looked at my group chat with my friends, you think we all hate each other. Facts. My wife's always like, "Do you guys even enjoy each other?" It's like not really. Honestly, we've just been friends for so long.
I know.
All right. Anyways, let's move on to the next game. And if Kyle has something in the other game that he likes, aside from he can mention it, but
we'll allow it.
I sent Kyle. I DM'd you. Anyways. So we talked about that we both like that we both like the Ravens against Pittsburgh, but that we would play it either in a teaser or parlay the money line, like that we're not touching 9.5. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, totally agree.
Okay. And yeah, Yusuf, I did like the Ladidi. In terms of player props, there's a couple that I liked in this one, a couple leans that I liked as well. But I'll let you go first. What do you like in this one?
I'm an under guy in this one. I can't remember who was talking about. Who was talking about Muth? But I don't think the Muth can get Luth. Yeah, I think Muth gonna be locked up. So I took him under 4.5 receptions and did not check once again this morning if the receptions were available.
Under 4.5 -135
on juiced wise. Well, -135 I'm still okay with. I got a -120, so it hasn't moved that much for the Muths under there. Do not be scared by this 8-7 from the last 2 weeks.
Gotta look at the matchup.
Yeah, matchup. Not so you got the worst team against tight ends.
Sorry, who the hell's Girth?
Oh, Brooks? Dude, everyone could see that. I thought only you guys could see that.
No, that's for everyone. All right, Girth, what do you have to say for yourself?
Hey, what's up? Morning.
Yeah, morning. My name's Girth. Anyway, sorry to interrupt you, Josh. I had to comment.
No, you're good. I whatever I was saying was way less important. But yeah, Cincinnati, worst team against tight ends, yards, receptions. KC, 4th worst. Baltimore, by no means awesome. Just look at his numbers versus Baltimore, and with Pickens and Wilson in there, just all leads to the under on the 5 looks there. And I don't even know that he's going to be good for the 6 or 7 targets that I think he would need to get the 5 is really where I'm at. I actually do prefer. Someone keeps talking about Pickens in the chat, and I would prefer his plus money for 5 receptions before anything. But I also think Russ is going to be airing this thing out, man. I know the weather's supposed to be nasty, but it's like it's Russ with Pickens. Like, how often do we think he's going to be going 6 yards down the field to Freiermuth for a 5-yard reception? To get the 5 receptions, just don't feel good about that. So I loved the under on his more than anything, and I didn't take Pickens, but he's a big factor into the bet.
Kyle, what you want to any other one you liked in the other game before we move on to this one?
Well, the bets I have my money spread out in that game. The move in that game was probably to have gotten the Chargers at 2.5 early in the week at that -110. I mean, it's tough to lay a full 3 or an expensive 2.5 in a game that very well could end 2019. I really don't like the matchup at all for Houston offensively. What I liked for the Chargers is since week 15, the Chargers are averaging 2.24 seconds to pressure, which is first in the NFL. So the Chargers pass rush out of nowhere is on a rampage right now. And it makes sense. I mean, they're loaded in terms of talent. So if you look at the full season numbers, it doesn't look like the Chargers pass rush is anything crazy. They're on one right now. And in my opinion, that takes away everything Houston is going to try to do in this game, because the Chargers have been susceptible to the downfield pass. So I would like that matchup for CJ Stroud. He likes to air it out, right? I like CJ Stroud to connect on a couple big plays through the air. But if the Chargers pass rush against that beat up Texans offensive line that sucked all year, I mean, how are these deep routes going to develop? So I do think CJ Stroud will connect on a big play or two, but I also think there's going to be a lot of negative plays. Protecting the football could be an issue. I think the Chargers pass rush is really going to be a problem for CJ Stroud. I think Joe Mixon might be able to move the chains here and there, but in terms of consistently sustaining drives, I'm not loving it for the Texans offensively. But the thing is, I don't really love it for the Chargers offensively either.
Yeah, right.
How are the Chargers going to run the ball against a Houston defensive front that's fully healthy for the first time all year? So, yeah.
I'd be looking short game for Herbert from that standpoint. Yeah, I think the short game is gonna have to be the run game basically, and JK is not gonna do shit. So I agree with all that. I want to know too, real quick, if I could ask Kyle, like, are you aware of the Shane Day angle that David has been bringing up, which is that Shane Day used to be quarterbacks coach for the Texans and kind of helped raise CJ Stroud the last couple seasons, if you will. Now he's on the Chargers. Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, now he's on the Chargers staff.
So yeah, that's a hell of an approach. I would have loved to include that in the upload last night.
Get you a live show producer like David. That's all I'm saying. Actually, don't think David though.
That's a plus 20 subscriber type of graphic to have in there. Damn, but the bets I have all my money spread out, nothing big. I have a Houston team total under 20.5 is probably my favorite bet of the game. But by no means do I really like it, because like I said, I do think CJ Stroud will have opportunities to make some big plays, and a big play can really crush an under like that.
Yeah.
I laid it with the Chargers a little bit, and then I have Quentin Johnson over 43.5 receiving yards. That number's now gone because I'm a sharp and I sniped it.
Player prop sharp. That's what everybody knows about Kyle.
That's what I'm branded as.
Yeah. Anyways, Josh, did you get everything out you want to say about Freiermuth?
Oh yeah, I mean, we don't have enough time for how much I could talk about Pat Freiermuth, but we should probably move on at this point.
I agree with that under. I mean, you look at the games: Cincinnati worst team against tight end, Kansas City basically the second or third worst, depending on what time frame you look at. Cincinnati again worse. So I get that.
7 receptions in his last 3 games versus the Steelers as well. 7 total in his last 3
combined. Yeah, and Pickens missed this game too, so you would have thought that that would mean even more for the Muth. Yep. I have 2 I like in this game. I'll start with in the receiving yards. I took Jaylen Warren receiving yards. I took him over his main line. I got 19.5 at minus 110. I'd still take it 20.5. That's fine. I also took 30 plus for a half unit. That was plus 200. Right now it says it's plus 150, but I'm willing to bet you can get a better price than that. But it's just like he gets a lot more work with Russell Wilson. So 30 plus right now is plus 175. There you go. Plus 175. So like if you look at the entire season, how often has he gone over 20.5? 6 of 15 games. If you filter this specifically with Russell Wilson, that turns into 6 of 11 games, which means he didn't hit it a single time with Justin Fields as his quarterback. Look at 2 of the games he went over, hit this over against the Ravens, hit this over against the Ravens. And what I like, this game, the Steelers won that game. They were leading basically the majority of that game because they shut down the Ravens offense, and they still used him in the passing game. If we expect that the Ravens are going to be winning the majority of the time in this game, which at least I know that me and Josh think that, Kyle, you can give your point after, then he's probably going to have closer to the 44 receiving yards that he had last time, because Russell Wilson, he doesn't run anymore. Like, he's 98 years old. He's a loser, so he doesn't run anymore. And he dumps it off to the running back. I just had to add that last part.
Yeah, what are we taking shots
at?
Strays.
That guy, Russ Wilson, is such a loser. Unlimited.
I mean, he's like a corny dude, but like, a loser.
Well, yeah, not as a football player, as a human being, He's not someone
He
that
is
you
married to
ever
Sierra.
want to...
I'm in between you guys. I think the word is not loser, but there's something there. Cringe comes to mind. There's other stuff, but
I mean, he's like the word I would
Sierra,
use
like,
is
he's doing all right.
he's a dorky. He's a dork.
Yeah,
like,
I don't mind dorks, but is he somebody that you'd want to like get a beer with and hang out with?
No, not really.
Yeah, all right. Anyways, Ravens allow the third most receiving yards to running backs. It's because they're winning a lot. It's because you can't run on them. So also it's going to be like they're going to be using their receiving back, which is Jaylen Warren. And Najee Harris is banged up. Like he's going to play because he plays through everything, but he is at least banged up. So if that leads to like a couple more snaps for Jaylen Warren, that just helps this one. So that was the first play that I had. I haven't checked the weather. Is it still supposed to be nasty? That would help. That would not help my next one.
Indubitably.
But it is Pickens. I actually took him longest reception. And I took longest reception. I actually took it 30 plus, which is not even available. You can't even see it on here. It was plus 185 at FanDuel. Only once this year has he hit his longest reception of 23.5, but not hit 30. And that was with Justin Fields. So if we only filter the games again with Russell Wilson, he's done it in, I think, 7 of 8 games. The only time he missed was last week, which was just a crazy week. I mean, he dropped everything. He caught 1 of his 6 targets. He's always going to have a low catch rate, 55%, because he gets targeted deep. But he's not often going to catch 1 of 6. It's a Ravens team that can get beat deep. I mean, he did it the first time against them. 37 was his longest receiving yarded, his longest reception. And that was a game like Russell Wilson threw for sub 200 yards in that game, and he still hit the over. The weather could have an impact on that, but the Ravens, I guess you mentioned the Ravens defense has been a lot better. I think since week 11 was what you said.
Yeah.
I was just looking at their entire season. They're like top 7 in ADOT. They've defended the 4th most deep passes against them. And Russell Wilson has the 2nd highest completion percentage on attempts above 20 yards. Like that's all he could do now is throw it deep to the sideline. So Pickens will probably get deep loose for one of these. I don't necessarily like his receiving yards over, which is why I only took the longest reception, but that was the second play that I had.
Makes sense.
Kyle,
go ahead.
anything?
So I opened up Josh's stream and I saw someone free sauce about. Yeah, well, I have them both open because they got to monitor both comments in case they answer a question. And you mentioned the Nico Collins longest reception. I do like that. Because Chargers are actually 2nd in defensive efficiency against the short pass in the NFL. So those underneath screens, we've seen them try to get him the ball in space. I don't know how available they're going to be. So I do think that they'll find Nico on a big one. So that's cool. I don't really bet longest reception one, but that'd be cool. I would co-sign that. Nice name, by the way. Free sauce. I like it.
Yeah, it's my guy.
And so Steelers Ravens. I mean, it's tough. I cannot unsee. Now, obviously, this year Lamar Jackson is a little bit different than years past, but it's kind of tough to unsee that in his entire career, if you take games against the Steelers and playoff games, if you just take all Lamar Jackson's games, put all of his Steeler games in there and all of his playoff games in there, I mean, we're talking about 1 successful day throwing the football out of like 11. He never plays well against the Steelers. He never plays well in the playoffs. And I know everyone's going to be thinking, Kyle, well, this year's different. Lamar Jackson is a more developed passer than he's ever been, which is 100% true. In fact, he's pretty much been the best quarterback in the NFL from a clean pocket this year. He's been an excellent pocket passer. Maybe this year is different. That being said, they say that every time Lamar Jackson goes to the playoffs. No, this year's different. And he always seems to shit the bed in the playoffs. I'm not saying he's going to. I'm just saying it's hard to ignore all those patterns. That is, Lamar Jackson is the best regular season quarterback ever, shits the bed in the playoffs. It's hard to ignore that. Not to mention, he's had one good career in his career, one good game against the Steelers ever. The Steelers.
It was last time, right?
And it was last game. And in that game, the Steelers were missing Joey Porter. They were missing their other corner, which Dante
Jackson.
So they were missing 2 corners, and that was the game where TJ Watt was banged up. He was listed as questionable, and he wasn't right. So
they had him line up on the opposite side because he couldn't bend his ankle on his normal side. Yeah.
The only time ever in Lamar Jackson's career that he's ever had a good game against the Steelers was the last one when the Steelers defense was a mess, missing 2 corners, and their best player, maybe the best player in Steelers history, wasn't 100% in that game. So it's hard for me to co-sign laying this big number with Baltimore, knowing that there's a reason Lamar Jackson always seems to struggle against the Steelers. He's a guy that likes to hold on to the football and create extra time in the pocket using his athleticism. Doesn't always work against Pittsburgh. They get to the quarterback fast, and they're efficient getting the quarterback to the ground. So it's just a bad matchup for Lamar Jackson on paper. There's a reason he always struggles against this team. And now that the Steelers defense is fully healthy, and I mean the starting 11 ready to go, I know you look at the raw data and you're like, Ravens are going to put up 40 on the Steelers because that's what the data would show. I mean, if this is a raw handicap, take out any insinuating circumstances, yeah, Ravens should score easily on the Steelers. But this is a Mike Tomlin defense fully healthy in the playoffs. They're not going to get bullied around on the line of scrimmage like that. I'm sorry, I just can't see it. So I think Lamar Jackson could have problems. I actually think it's not crazy to say that Baltimore has some problems trying to run the ball. So can't do it. Can't lay the big number, in my opinion. On the other side, though, when it comes to the Steelers' offense against Baltimore's defense, I mean, Godspeed. It's on paper they should score 0 points, and I mean legitimately 0. That offense has looked terrible. We were all like, "Yo, bring back Pickens. We need Pickens back. They'll be fine." This offense isn't the same without Pickens. You know what? Pickens came back, and they're still absolute trash. 2 games in a row, they look terrible. So I don't know how on paper you can make a case for the Steelers consistently moving the ball against Baltimore. I will say, though, I do trust Arthur Smith. I think he's a creative guy, and I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out and completely switches their scheme up. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some gap concept blocking schemes. They're used to running zone. Maybe I wouldn't be surprised if in the first drive we're all like, how the fuck are the Steelers running the ball right now? I wouldn't be surprised if Arthur Smith has something schemed up that can at least catch Baltimore off guard for a couple drives. Also, and I think this is the big one, we were just talking about George Pickens. Coming off that terrible game where he got a ton of criticism, he was terrible. I think we're going to see a couple George Pickens plays. And I mean, the type of plays you can't really include in a handicap, the type of plays where he makes a big catch that he had no business making. So I think Pickens is going to make a big play. Baltimore, although the defense has been elite the second half of the year, they are susceptible to the downfield pass a bit. I think Pickens is going to make a big play or two. I actually killed it in this one in terms of the market. I have an under at 46.5. It's at 43.5 now. And I have a Steelers at +10. That's the 2 bets I have. 23-17 Ravens win final score. Steelers score a fourth quarter touchdown to backdoor cover.
Love it.
I like it. Yeah. A couple thoughts that I just got from hearing you talk. Like Lamar under completions feels like it could be a play. He's only hit that one game against the Steelers, and that was last year. He didn't hit it either of them this year, and that was in a loss and in a win. So, like, what's the scenario? I think that makes a lot of sense what you said. I mean, yeah, I think that what scares me off of the Steelers is Russell Wilson has looked terrible. Like he was good at the beginning of the year. He's looked terrible the last 6 weeks. I think they lost 5 straight heading into the playoffs, if I remember correctly, and like haven't really even been competitive in a lot of those games. So anyways, Josh,
just adding to that, I think this game's going to suck. I think that's what Kyle just said. Is this game's going to fucking suck? I don't know how else to sum it up, but it's going to be bad. And I agree. I took under on both quarterbacks throwing passing yards. I took under 223.5 for Lamar. It's like 217. I took under 208.5 for Russ, and I ain't scared at all, to be honest. Now I think Russ. I also really actually prefer. I already have the bet in on the yards under for Wilson, but I actually prefer the under pass completions for him at this point too. Even at 18.5, you're getting plus money for Russ to go under, because the yards are a little bit scarier if you do think, which I can easily see, 2 to 3 Pickens downfield. Like there's gonna be like 6 or 7 of those attempts, in my opinion. I think 2 or 3 of those get caught. Pickens is at like 75 yards already right there. But at the same time, like the completions around the field coinciding with me not liking Muth to get his, because Muth would be a lot more of that short yardage guy for them at this point. Then yeah, I just don't like any of it. And maybe it's Calvin Austin catching those bombs. Someone was asking about him too. Could be one of the 2 guys. In fact, I actually prefer Calvin to maybe get that, because the slot essentially against the Ravens is going to be a much better way to go than on the outside at this point, where their corners are rated much more highly on the outside than their nickel at this point in the season. So I'm really actually like some deep balls for Russ, but not the completions. So if he sneaks over the yards, I don't think he gets over the completions. And I partly take away from what Kyle was saying as well to add to it.
There's a comment, and there's 2 comments here that says Lamar always throws an interception against the Steelers.
6 out of his last 5.
Yeah. So he always throws an interception against the Steelers. That's number 1. He also throws interceptions in the playoffs at a high rate as well. Prop Beaver really likes Lamar to throw a pick at plus 135. I think he got it at, and that's a crazy price considering he only has 4 interceptions all year, and it's still plus one, whatever it is, which means like the market's kind of onto that as well. If you just isolate Lamar's games against the Steelers and playoff games, you're like, oh my God, he throws a pick in every single one.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 out of the last 3 against the Steelers. And I think you said, 6 in the last 5?
6 in his last 5 against them, yeah.
I'll probably tell that.
He's thrown at least 1 interception in every career game against the Steelers, and he's thrown at least 1 interception in every career playoff game except 1. So if you do Steelers games and playoff games, there's like 11 career games. He's thrown an interception in 10 of them, and it's like plus 130 or whatever the bet's at.
Yeah, 130 on.
That's
on
not my
FanDuel.
Prop Beaver likes that. I mean, he's been a lot better protecting the football this year. So
Prop Beaver?
Yeah, he likes. No, yeah, Lamar. Yeah, Prop Beaver has also been protecting the football this year.
All right, so Josh, you like both QB under passing yards, probably the completions for Wilson as well. Did you have anything on the touchdown market for this one?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I would be looking at I like a Jalen Warren at like plus 235 was one consideration. The other play I didn't put down, but like I'm really just realizing that should be a play at this point is Isaiah Likely. Like I do really like the tight ends for the Ravens at this point, and Likely without Zay Flowers is what I like a ton, because if there is going to be short passing game going on for the Ravens, it was going to be Zay Flowers with some Isaiah Likely mixed in there. Now it's like, who's a better yards after catch guy than their tight end, former wide receiver, by the way, just to be clear. Like Likely's not the fastest tight end of all time. He's a wide receiver playing tight end, to be honest, because of his size at this point in his career. But I love the Likely over 15.5 long, and I do like the potential touchdown, and I like the 27.5 if you can still get it on the receiving yards for him. I think it's a big Likely day.
What about Matt? Pull up Steelers defense touchdown.
Ooh, all right.
Oh, defensive
Let's get nasty. Let's get nasty.
Yeah, let's get real weird. It's we got 20-mile-an-hour winds coming like pretty much all day, 15 to 20 in.
They don't have that here. Maybe it's under defensive. I don't think Outlier has that. I need to.
I'll just pull up FanDuel real quick.
Really?
At least I can't find it on Outlier. Yeah. A couple things. Number one, I did Google the weather on Roto Grinders. Temperature around 30, winds 10 miles per hour, not quite cold enough or windy enough to be a real problem, but it's not ideal. So I don't think that the weather should be too impactful. I love that Jalen Warren look. I mean, obviously, I think he's going to have a big game, so I totally agree about that. I love the Likely look. I'll probably honestly take his receptions because I don't know the exact stat off the top of my head, but I do know that whenever Lamar is under pressure or blitzed, his highest target in like the 40% of the time is Zay Flowers. Like I think it's almost 50%, if I remember correctly. He targets Zay Flowers when he's either under pressure or blitzed. That's going to have to go somewhere. He's going to be under pressure. He's going to be blitzed. Is it going to be Likely? Is it going to be Andrews? Is it going to be, I know the Hawk Crank likes Nelson Aguilar, more so for a Tater. I think that's solid. I mean, like the odds are going to be there, and someone's going to get a passing touchdown, in my opinion, on the Ravens, because I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball that successfully. The player that I like to score is, I mean, this is super chalky, so like I'm not going to pretend this is like a deep cut. It's Mark Andrews. And like he, after starting off the year super slow, didn't score at all in the first 5 games. He scored in 10 of the last 12 games. He scored a touchdown. Like he's just insane. He scored both times against the Steelers this year. Or no, I guess he didn't score the first time. He scored the second game against the Steelers this year. The Steelers defense struggles a little bit against the tight end more so than anywhere else, which also, to your Likely point, is also beneficial. And like he gets 35% of the target share. Obviously they run the ball a lot, so this is a smaller pie, like out of 3 team red zone targets. But like when he's moving around, he's going to look for Mark Andrews. They might be able to contain him in the pocket. That's what the Steelers do a really good job about. They don't get beat by rushing quarterbacks like Jane Daniels didn't run against them. Hurts didn't run against them. Lamar hasn't really. So I took Andrews, but I totally understand the Likely angle. I understand the Aguilar. I mean, a lot of the stuff on the Ravens, because there's like so many weapons, I can get behind.
Yeah.
And I did look at defensive touchdowns. Steelers 1,100 to score.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Let's go.
900 if you include special teams. Just defense.
You don't need special teams. Just defense.
Ugh. Yeah, just defense.
How about TJ Watt touchdown score? Let's go.
Plus 5,000.
Welcome to the prop game.
That's like
baby.
insanely plus 5,000.
He's not good. No, that's not even a good price.
I know. If I bet TJ Watt, a defensive end, to score a touchdown and it hits, I want more than plus 5.
That better be 100 to 1. What the hell are we talking about?
What is that?
Let me check.
How many
FanDuel.
touchdowns does this man have in his game? How many games has he played? The implied probability should be at like freaking 3%. What are we talking about?
I know. What are we talking about?
That was OddsJam had that, but they didn't have markets. A lot of books don't have that offered. So let me check.
FanDuel doesn't have it up.
Yeah, I bet 365 does. They seem to have the most.
Yeah.
All right. Are there any comments that I missed? I know you guys have been. I know
Probably
there's a lot.
a good amount.
Anything that we should?
I got to roll though. I got some videos to get done for tonight.
All right.
Yeah. All right. All good. Thanks for hopping on.
Talk to you guys later.
See you, bud.
See ya. Yeah, you
See
can't
you,
get TJ Watt on 365.
No.
You can get Connor Hayward.
Yeah. That's so weird.
That's stupid.
Why?
But anyways, all right. Well, I have everything for this game. It was Mark Andrews touchdown, Jalen Warren receiving yards over his main line for a unit, half unit on 30 plus, and then George Pickens' longest reception, 30 plus, not his main line, but the 30 plus number.
Like it. Yeah, I'm with you. For this one, I got both quarterbacks under their pass yards. And I've got, I might even add to the card at this point with Russ under on the completions because I'm getting plus money under 18.5. And then the Jalen Warren, I haven't sprinkled on the tutty yet, but I will. I do like over rush and receive for him as well, which you talked about the receive. I think he's going to be out there. And if they rush the ball, it's going to be with him on the field because he's going to have to be out there, whether it's because they're losing in a negative game script or because he has been out snapping Najee in 4 of the past 5 games before last week. So like Jalen Warren, just to finish that point up. And the first bet I gave out was the Fryer-Muth going under 4.5 receptions. I would still take that at like minus 130, man. I think that's a really good bet for someone who I don't think is going to see more than like 6 targets in this game. So yeah, that's where we're at with that one.
He's old. I think he's like 95. Could be even 100.
38's not that old, right? Because I'm not far from there. So if we could guess older at this point to make me feel better about my age, that'd be great.
Anyways, all right. Yeah, I honestly... People are
we're
better.
Good. Let everyone know we're up. We're going live tomorrow for tomorrow's games too, right?
Yeah, that's true. We'll be live at the same time. Well, sorry, we'll be live tomorrow the same time we normally do Sunday, which is 11 in the morning to go over all 3 games. Appreciate everybody for joining. I honestly might add the likely receptions. I might do a half unit on 4 plus and a quarter unit on 5 plus. If you are in my Dub Club or you follow me on Twitter, that's where I'll post it. So you'll know if I end up playing it. I do really like that angle a lot, so I probably will end up playing that. Yeah. But yeah, cool. Josh, anything else you're working on that you want to tell the people?
No, man. No, I'll be back. I've got NBA coming out tonight. I needed a quick break on NBA, like I was saying at the start of the show. So I'm going to be back with it tonight. I'm also going to have player props in an episode out for tomorrow's games as well. So I'll have that up. And then obviously talking about that on the show tomorrow morning. So all good there.
I'll also have a video coming out tonight. It's currently, my editor said she's working on it. That should come out hopefully today. Well, definitely today.
Oh, yeah.
For tomorrow's games. Cool. All right. Well, yeah, appreciate everybody for joining. You either follow my channel or Josh's channel. So if you're on one, follow the other. Follow us both on Twitter. I'm at Jedamodai. He's at JL Boogie. Or Lane Your Bets is where you can find him. Yeah, we'll talk to you guys tomorrow, 11 a.m. Appreciate everybody for tuning in.